I've been daily driving the R35 1.8 STM for the R7 for the past month, and it all started when I took a trip to Seattle. I needed a lens that was light, small, and easy to carry all day without a problem. Its full frame equivalent is 56mm, so it's very close to the classic 50, and the aperture opens up to 1.8, so if you want to get lost in the sauce, you definitely can. Hi, my name is David Capra, and today I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the 35mm 1.8 on crop sensor bodies like the R7 and the R10. So let's get into it. So this lens normally retails for $500, but occasionally goes on sale for $400. And if you want to be really lucky, you can find one used as low as $300, but that's if you're really lucky. Off the bat, my pros for this lens is light, it's fast, and it comes with image stabilization. Another selling point is this is marketed as a macro lens, but unfortunately I just don't use it enough to give my opinion on that unless I'm doing the occasional food shot. Personally, I use this lens for street and portraits, and most importantly, the size. It's the reason why it's my travel and walking around lens. Even with the camera's 1.6 crop factor, this lens is super versatile and you could use it for studio work, landscape, and more, like macro. One of my favorite features is the image stabilization. It makes this easier for video and long exposure. And honestly, I use it mainly for run and gun situations. Another favorite feature of mine is the control ring. I usually set my ISO to it because the R7 does not come with a dedicated dial for ISO. For photo, it's sharp. You can shoot at 1.8, no problem. The EF version you shot at f2, so this lens is a little bit faster than the other. I wouldn't say a lot, but enough that you can humble brag to your friends that you got a fast boy on your hands. One thing that I noticed in really bright situations, especially if you're shooting super open at 1.8, is there's a little bit of color distortion, or what you guys call achromatic aberration. I always suck at pronouncing it, so I'm just going to say distortion. But most of the time it could be fixed in post. And other times, well, it's just there and you're gonna have to get used to it, or you just don't show that person, or you just don't show that photo at all. Personally, I shoot an f2 to f5 because I want people to see the background of my subjects, especially if I'm doing street. The only time that I shoot really open in f1.8 is if I'm doing a really tight portrait and I just want to have some parts in focus and other parts just really smooth and buttery. Another thing is this is an STM lens, but I noticed if you're in the dark, especially in photo mode, you get to hear the camera struggle a bit. I'm going to do a quick demonstration. Make sure that this is dark. Oh, I'm in video mode. So you hear it struggling just a bit. Let's jump into video. So overall, I shoot video in f2 to f7, and that's because when you shoot video in f1.8 in general, it's just really hard to focus unless you're doing like a talking headshot. So for me, especially, I love to shoot out in the streets. Those are the preferred f-stops that I love to shoot in. One of the biggest advantages that I mentioned earlier is that this lens comes with IS, and it makes it really easy for run and gun situations, but you have to be mindful because of the weight. This lens is really easy to get camera shakes if you're walking. You have to do ninja walks, put it to your chest, or if you have a strap, you can hold your camera like this. It'd be a lot easier to get a steady shot. And this is especially important if you have an R10 because the R10 doesn't come with IBIS, which kind of sucks, but I wish it did. Speaking of IBIS, I haven't noticed IBIS wobble as much as I do on my R6 or on full frame cameras, and I think it's just simply is the crop factor. Earlier I was complaining about the STM in photo mode, but this isn't really noticeable in video. It's actually really quiet, really nice, and it's not too bad. But with the STM, I notice when you focus into another subject, sometimes it'll take a little while to get to your subject. So if you're out and about, you're trying to switch to someone else, you might lose that shot. Easiest way to fix that is you make sure you're shooting at a narrower f-stop, or you kind of just plan ahead and you're well aware and you touch the screen to get your next subject. I put on a beanie because I kept playing with my hair, keep putting my headphones on, so let's just avoid that. If you're wondering if there's alternatives, of course they are. You have the Sigma 1.4, the Tamron 1.4, but unfortunately those guys come in the EF mount, don't have an IS, so for me that eliminates the small form factor that I like, and the IS is kind of a big thing for me because this guy is a nice little workhorse for my R7 and then my R6 Mark II. But overall, I just love this little guy and I recommend it for your R7 or your R10. It's just a great lens to have in your kit. Does it have cons? Of course it does. It's not a perfect lens, but I believe the pros far outweigh the cons. Lastly, before I go, I normally shoot street photography POV videos, but I feel like people don't talk about the R7 the way that I use it, and that's for everyday life. I see other people use it for wildlife or sports, and it's not a dig at them. I just think this gives me an opportunity to just explore this camera a little bit more. I'm falling in love with the system, and I think it's a pretty cool little guy. So if you guys like the video, go ahead and like the video. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. And if you haven't noticed, I'm not used to talking in front of the camera, so it's gonna be awkward until it isn't. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Could you tell me what it's really like to feel